Good evening, everyone, and welcome back after the little extended winter break that we've had over December to RPM Season 5. It's Wednesday again, so we're back for the Championship Division, and tonight the drivers have to tackle the barriers between the walls of Monaco. It is a 2-mile circuit, one of the shortest on the calendar, consisting of 19 corners, 9 to the right and 10 to the left, and only the one DRS zone down the main straight. Short DRS zone, obviously, as everyone will be aware, not many overtaking opportunities tonight. Now, I'm by myself tonight. Luke is away on a family vacation, I believe, so it's just me, so you'll have to all keep us company. But we can see Monaco, round 6, so after tonight we'll be halfway through the season already, and I mean, it's been pretty tasty in all the divisions, let's have it right, and we've got some tricky tracks coming up to finish the season. Obviously, we're nearly at the end of this street circuit triple header. We've still got to get through Monaco, 39 laps tonight, and then Singapore next week, and it all kicks off. No breaks now until the end of the season in the middle of February, so a good 6 weeks away from the end of the season, but some good times ahead for sure. Just keeping an eye on the lobby. Drivers filling in. I don't know if we've got a full grid tonight. Let me find that out real quick. We definitely don't have a full grid tonight. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15 drivers, I believe, and no reserves. So nearly a full grid, and as we say, Monaco is very tough to even keep the car on the road, or at least out of the barrier. So I'm sure we'll lose some drivers along the way, hopefully not. In the meantime though, while the lobby builds up, let's take a look at the standings. So to remind everyone, and to remind myself as well, because I haven't had a chance to check it out properly, we have Alfa Romeo still at the top of the table, extending the gap to Red Bull in behind, and that pack from 3rd down to 5th, particularly 3rd and 4th, obviously very close between the Alpines and the Aston Martin team. McLaren's still struggling at the bottom. Kieran made his debut in Jeddah after replacing Jono of the first few rounds, and he had a great race, but it wasn't his luck, and I believe he was caught up in some unfortunate collision. I seem to remember it not being his fault. So McLaren's sitting down there at the bottom, tight pack between 7, 8 and 9, and Ferrari there in 6th, in no man's land a little bit. No one close behind, 60 points nearly below, and 27, 8 points behind Williams ahead. So Ferrari will want to get some good points, try and close that gap, and obviously Alfa Romeo can't afford a slip up either. Now let's take a look at the drivers. So Rodo in the Alpine leads, and obviously his teammate Chimichangas all the way down at the bottom, only scoring 11 points so far this season. So going back to the constructors, you'll see that's why they are in 3rd place. Rodo top of the table, 2 wins to his name, the most I believe of any driver, and he's matching Dino for the most podiums. Dino with 2 third places and a 2nd, but also a DNF. Rodo yet to finish outside the top 6, and a lovely comfortable 48 point gap, I believe that is, yes, 48 point gap to the leader. So he is, yeah, I'm just making that a little bit bigger for myself. He's looking comfortable. He's got a couple of races worth of a cushion, so if he can finish tonight, he'll put himself in good stead to again extend that gap. Huss finds himself in P2 after some consistent results, only 1 podium finish and a DNF, so he's obviously hauled some good points in those other races, and he won around in Jeddah, of course, the Aston Martin driver, so he'll be looking to continue that form. But again, what is form after a 3-week break? You know, when you can't carry things on a week later, it's all fresh for all these drivers. I'm looking down toward the bottom of the table. Drivers like Stubby and Don will be looking to end this DNF run, particularly Don, 3 DNFs in a row after that win in Japan. So not ideal for the South African driver, but I'm sure again everyone will be, well, I say that, everyone will be looking to finish, but how many are actually going to finish? I think we got quite a good number last night in the 1st division. I think it was only 2 or 3 drivers that DNF'd, so most people kept it out of the barrier. And looking ahead to the all tiers then. Aston Martin and Ferrari leading the way, tight between them. Mercedes and McLaren, another tight bracket there. So first and second, then the big gap to third and fourth, and then an even bigger gap down to fifth. Also closely followed by sixth. So sort of pairs of teams here as we go down the order before the final three teams. Williams bringing up the rear, 30 odd points, 35 points or so behind any other team in the division. Now I have nailed that at 7:45, but unfortunately the lads haven't readied up yet, so you're just going to have to listen to me blabber on for, you know, maybe 60 seconds longer. Let's have a look at the comments, shall we? So we've got Richie, we've got Colin, we've got 9 people in the chat. Since I'm on my own tonight, I love a bit of interaction. We normally do get interaction, but I'm going to be looking at that more than I usually do because I don't have Luke, and I'm seeing green ticks, so it wasn't that long to wait anyway. Richie, good luck, good evening. Yes, all drivers, not just Ferrari, Monaco, and every driver deserves extra respect and encouragement. Absolutely, any driver that can do half Grand Prix distance around Monaco without making a single mistake and keeping it out the wall does deserve their respect, because as we know, it's a fucking brutal circuit, isn't it? Evening, Colin. Yes, good luck, Ferrari. Not as kind as my boss. He, is that some work reference there, Colin? Have you had a good day at work or something? Here we go then. Let's switch over because we're about to have some action underway. I quite like that music in the background, but it's gone now. So it's just me and my voice. I've got my beverage. It's a Corona tonight. So that'll keep me company. Let's get some predictions if we want. You know, anything under the sun will work. Winner, podium, how many DNFs? Are we going to have a safety car? Yes or no? I mean, I would ask how many, but realistically it's going to be 0 or 1. What else could we say? Is it going to be turn 1? Or are we going to see some major pile-ups through turn 1? I'm thinking it's going to be there. It's going to be the swimming pool section, maybe. Anyway, thank God for that. We've reached the start of qualifying, which is great. Just sort myself out before we go. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it, to commentate on this kind of race because it's notoriously, well, not boring. Well, maybe boring. I don't want to say boring. Notoriously, you know, no overtakes, is it really? So we'll go on with qualifying, and realistically, I think I'm just going to try and focus on laps, sort of whole lap times, let's say, as the drivers head round. So I'm not going to do too much jumping around. I'm just going to pick up a driver and stick with him and keep an eye on the rest of it. So let's see, we've got 2 Alfa Romeos, Tonchek and Dino heading around now. We've picked up Tonchek, the leading car. Now that is very quiet from my side there. Let me turn up the game audio because that was extremely low. Let me know what the balance is like audio wise, please, guys. I can hear the game well, so hopefully you guys can hear me as well. Half the grid then out on track, and I'll just ride on with Tonchek and watch his opening lap, and then we'll watch as the other guys cross the line. Obviously a short out lap, and you only have 3 sets of soft tyres, so a lot of drivers will have to sit in the garage before the final runs. But we have the first driver as he heads out on track, moving on his hot lap. Let's watch on then. Let's hope he doesn't get in traffic. Breaking down, a little bit of oversteer there on entry, keeps it together nicely though, up the hill. And round through Massenet past the casino, down towards the Mirbeau section. Tight, slow speeds, first gear. You want a late apex around here. It's a touch too early. He's drifted a little bit wide. It's the first lap after all. Now through Portier and down through the tunnel before the, well, probably the second heaviest braking zone on the track, just after the 100 meter board. Keeping it tight and not cutting too much of that curb on the inside. Looking for the 50 meter board, downshift and chuck her in. And back on the power, full throttle, take curb on the left and the right. Full curb on the left and the right as well. He could get away with more than that, Tunchek. And now a tricky braking zone. If you lock up or if you lose the control, you're going to go straight into that wall. He's kept it clean, he's opened DRS, and let's see what the reference time is for those guys to beat. It's a 1:12.2. As the track evolves and as we get a greener track, it will certainly improve. And Dino, his teammate, goes 4 tenths clear straight away. We've got Huss crossing the line. Is it Huss or is that Aston Martin? Stubby. 6 tenths down on the fastest, so that Tontek Chime already bad, well, not bad enough, but already down into P3, so beaten by nearly half a second already. We've got Riker, the Red Bull, starting his lap, so we will ride on with him. Is Schnitzy is about to finish a lap, so let's see what he posts. McLaren driver goes a tenth slower than the original time, puts himself in P5, as Spritzy puts himself up to P3 on the second row of the grid into the 111s, and I think that was Smith. No, it wasn't Smith. Someone's just posted a time, but I missed who it was. Huss is coming around to start his lap, and Riker will also be. Is he on an out lap? I thought, I'm not sure, he might have made a mistake. His ERS is off, so we'll keep an eye on that. So Dino leads then. A good time, over half a tenth clear. Not half a tenth. Yes, half a tenth. Don't know why I'm contradicting myself. Right, let's ride on with the Red Bull then, who did start his lap, but obviously backed out of it. So he's done 2 preparation laps. Those tyres will be in nice and warm conditions at the minute, and he opens DRS, takes a wide line into turn 1, holds it in 3rd, probably a good gear to take that in, maybe even 4th. You don't want to be going down to 2nd. Just as you brow the hill, you want to touch the inside curb on the double apex there, over the bump. Oh, a little bit deep there, that cost him. Nice late apex there, he's done that one well, got the car nice, turned in, rotated well over the curb. Don't want to brake too early for that. And he heads through the tunnel. Colin letting us know in the chat that Wardy is a bit sick at the moment, so you're right, mate. Huge respect if he can get anything out of tonight's race. That would be good. Attending when you're not feeling well that's just true form, true top form. Riker then crosses the line and goes on pole position, 3 tenths of a second. That mistake in the first lap's obviously helped him there. He's gathered himself, and he puts himself over 3 tenths clear of Dino in P2. So Red Bull, provisional pole position. And he'll get around for 2 more laps. There's a Mercedes about to cross the line. Let's see, is he starting a lap? Dragos? Yes, he is. As he heads up Rivage through Massenet. And down past the casino. Let's hope this traffic ahead moves out of the way. If he gets caught, that is. He's already halfway through the tunnel, so it might be okay. rough entry there. I think I just caught that. I was looking down, but oh, and he's in the wall. He's okay. Cosmo's left the session, so that's the other Mercedes driver, I think, who's gone. And did Dragos pick up damage there? His front wing looks okay, I think. Is he just going to go again, or is he... Oh. Yep, he's well, not locked up, but he's had a little mistake there. Letting the cars by. I think he's going to have to box because his battery isn't good enough. Here he comes around then, the illness-stricken Wardy. Feel bad for him. Good to let the flying car round. May as well ride on board with Spritzy if he's on a lap. He's fractionally up in Sector 1. 4 1,000th of a second up on his fastest time, so that won't improve him at the minute. He's got to get at least a 10th. Foot to the floor. Through the kink of the tunnel. On towards the Nouvelle chicane. Breaking down second gear, taking as much as you can from that chicane. Many cars out on track now. It would be great if everyone can avoid traffic. But with nearly 15 cars out on track, the likelihood of that is pretty tough. Spritzy then, let's watch. I missed this sector 2 time. There's a yellow flag somewhere. No one's gone off. It's just a slow car. Foot to the floor, across the line. Spritzy improves by a 10th and moves himself up to P3, back to his original starting position. And he gets moved straight back down as, was it Schmidt who crossed the line there, I think? Yeah, so Schmidt in the Williams takes P2 and drops Spritzy back down again by not much, half, oh no, a full 10th, over a 10th on Spritzy there. Okay, who next? Got an Alpha about across the line. Where was Wardy actually? Let's ride on with Wardy. Oh, he's picked up traffic. Oh, he's picked up traffic there from, I think that might be Spritzy. Yeah, unfortunate there by Wardy. And Tonchek sets the fastest lap on his second run. And there's a bit of debris on the track there, right in the middle of the racing line. But Tonchek back up into pole position. 1:14, that's a 1:11.4. Let's watch what Wardy can do. Playing it safe, a lot of these drivers playing it safe over the curbs. I'm sure we'll see a lot more aggression in the final lap. And he boxes. So he's only going to have chance, maybe 2 more laps if he gets in and out. And there's an Aston Martin about to start a lap, I believe. Is Huss on one? Huss is down a lot of time. Spritzy. Did Spritzy forget the box? Because he's got no ERS and he was 10 seconds down already. I've got a feeling he might have missed the pit box there. Who else is on a lap? Steve-O is on a lap. Ferrari looking to improve all the way down in P12 at the minute. It looks as though Riker's flying as well. No, he's not flying. He's about to be though. So we'll ride on with Steve-O for the minute. And we'll catch up with Riker. He took a lot of curb there. Brave. I like it. Has he gained any time though? Let's see. He's 3.5 tenths off anyone. So he needs a major improvement. He needs at least half a second to put himself in the top 10. And what an improvement that is. 1.1 seconds up into third on the second row of the grid. Dropping Spritzy down another position. Smith and Dino drop a position as well. Riker may have just picked up some traffic there. He's got past the Alfa Romeo well. That's good. We'll find his split time shortly. We've missed the Sector 1 split time actually, so we'll have to wait until the swimming pool section to get an update on his lap time. I think, yeah, that's how it works. I really want to catch someone absolutely send it over this upcoming chicane here. Just take as much curb as you can. There it is. There's one. That was good, Riker. I'll chuck her in. Is he on for a pole position? He's only Oh, and he's come in. He's obviously had an if there, or maybe he just knew he wasn't going to improve enough. So he comes in. In fact, yeah, he was on a 109 when he was at the pit lane, so he must have had traffic in the first sector by the looks of things. Wardy back out again after making a mistake or caught up in traffic or something in his first lap. Didn't run, he just came out and went straight back in. Just going to get a nice little drag, potentially, by the McLaren in front. Now, I'm not sure if this guy is lapping. They're both lapping, so they're quite close together considering they're both on a hot lap. What he could have done with maybe making a little bit more of a gap to himself, just in case Schnitzy ahead makes a mistake. Aston Martin getting nicely out the way as they head down past the casino into Mirabeau again. Turn 6, the hairpin, full lock left, really tough corner, especially if you understeer. Again, he'll get a little tow, it won't be much, but he'll get a little tow maybe off this McLaren ahead. Fractions of a second could be gained. He's braking heavily. Is he going to take much curb? He does, and he's got it away with it. It's great to see. And the McLaren dives out the way, so he wasn't hot lapping anyway. Continues on, 4 minutes left. He's going to be short for time to have another lap here. And he's gone a little bit deep. He's kept it out the wall. Wasn't as clean as it could have been. Opens up DRS. Let's see then. One of the only drivers left to set the time. And he's up to P9, just shy of the 111s, a low 112. Good lap overall, all things considered there from Wardy. And Schnitzy's on a lap, I think now, but he hasn't got too much ERS, so interesting if he's able to finish the lap with some battery left. A few more guys in chat now, in organic. Ivor, Richie and Colin's still here. Shaq's joined us. Evening all. "16 people in here. How are you? Let's go." I don't think I've ever seen more than 20. So tell your friends, tell your family, get them to join in. He's pulling over for nobody, which is a shame. I mean, it's good, I guess, but he definitely could have kept going. And who is that flying? Is it Spritzy? Yes, Spritzy is flying, so let's ride on. This will be Spritzy's last lap, so he's got to give it everything now. I really hope he sends it over that chicane that I talked about earlier. Let's see. He's carried some speed through there nicely. Let's see how he does. No, he takes it nice and easy. Runs wide, hits the barrier on the exit there. Let's see. He must be thinking it's good enough to improve, otherwise he might have boxed. So let's see where he puts himself. He improves by a 1/10 and a half, but it's not enough for a position. He stays where he is. I've missed Dino taking pole position back off Tonchek, so the two Alfa Romeo drivers going tooth and nail. But look at that, Dino, Tonchek 3/10 up. So he's on for provisional pole. Once again, he's going to get a little toe off the Williams ahead. Keeping it tight to the wall, minimising the distance, and as we expected, Tonchek over a second quicker than what he was originally in his first lap, and he gets a 1:11.096. That's a big ask for anyone there. 3/10 off his teammate and half a second nearly, well, 4/10 off Stubby in P3. We've got the Merc of Cosmo rejoin, which is good, all good in qualifying. He's out of VRS though. I don't think Dragos improved there. He's still down in P14. Puggy's obviously not going to lap. We've got Huss coming around now. No, we don't. It's Spritzy on his in lap. Who's next across the line? Stubby? No, he's invalidated anyway. Rodo not great down there, considering. You see Monaco's a bit of an outlier from any of these drivers. Who is this about across the line, Riker? Smith, there you go. And he improved by a second. So he must have moved up. I missed it, but he improved. The mini sector said it was a second, so he must have moved up. Dino has improved again. Only a 10th now. So the Alfa Romeo driver is really the class of the field at the minute. 3 and a bit tenths away from any of the nearest competition. We've got Riker crossing the line, starting a lap. Let's see what he can do. The drivers have got 20 seconds to get across the line. That's going to be it for Dino. His qualifying is over. Tonchek's got himself on another lap and he's a 10th up, so he's cementing himself in that pole position. Riker close behind through Massenet. Or Mirabel, even, not Massenet, Mirabel. Who else is coming across? We've got McLaren very close behind. Both drivers going slowly. Hopefully they haven't held each other up. I think they look like they're both on in-laps and they'll be coming into the pit. So let's see. Tonchek is going to improve. He's not going to have lost pole position anyway, I don't think, because of the margin. But let's ride on board with the provisional pole sitter. Can he get into the 10s? That'll be his goal. I think he's going to do it. And he has just a 1:10.9. Great session by Tonchek. Clean, set a good lap to begin with. The Ferrari, who's this? Wardy? Stebo crosses the line, improves by 2/10. I don't think he improved the position. Riker comes into the pit, so he's done. Everyone is done, I think. Yeah, he's done. Stebo's done. Alfa Romeo is done. And Cosmo is done. So there you have it then. Qualifying over. Tonchek 2/10 ahead, well, just over 2/10 ahead of his teammate. Smith closed the gap, another 10th from Dino, and then 2.5 tenths down to Stubby. And then there was a pack there, I didn't catch all the numbers, a pack there from 3rd down to maybe 6th or 7th, all within a 10th of each other or so. So very tight midfield. So it looks as, here we go. It looks, there you go. So 4th all the way down to 8th, separated by just a 10th of a second. So that'll be a great midfield battle. Hopefully we'll see some overtakes, particularly, you know, turn 1 and the tunnel going into the Nouvelle Chicane. Anywhere else, I'd be very surprised. If anyone wants to fancies one into Raskas, that'll be very risky. It's very tight around there, but it is an opportunity. But Tonchek and Dino, the Alfa Romeo team, then the Williams and Red Bull, Aston Martin, McLaren, Ferrari, Aston Martin and Mercedes round off the top 10. Good lap by Wardy as well, considering, like I said before. Okay, well that's that. That was good. That was quite entertaining, actually. And now we have the 39 laps ahead of us. I haven't seen any predictions. Come on, people. What are we saying? What are we saying? Turn 1, safety car. How many drivers are going to finish? Oh, it's wet. Oh, it's wet. Oh, no. Right. Now you can chuck your predictions in, because that's just changed everything. It doesn't look wet. It might be inters, but it's raining, so it could also be wet. So we'll wait and see what people opt for. Dear me. Well, that's just extended the evening by 20 minutes, hasn't it? It's all good though. I've got the beer. I've got some scran. So I'm here for the long haul, lads. I'm here for the long haul. I was going to find some facts about Monaco, but I didn't have time. So if there's a pause in proceedings, then I might try that. Ivor just banged in the first prediction. 2 virtual safety cars in the first 5 laps. I can see that. I can see that happening. I'm yet to see any form of safety car, virtual or real. And I've done 3 or 4 50% Grand Prix. We've got Inorganic saying he thinks it's going to be 8 finishes, so just shy of half the grid to DNF. Also, probably quite realistic. If we're going off last night's race, then obviously there was a lot more than that. But we'll see. And let's check. I think I saw intermediates. Yeah, most drivers will be on the intermediates, I'm sure. All drivers on the intermediates. Good. As Tonchek leads them round. Oh, Ivor, there you go. I was just about to Google some fun facts, so if that's on my list, then fair play for beating me to it. Monaco was the first with the black and white flag. There you go. I didn't know this. Monaco is smaller than Central Park in New York City. And, I mean, I can imagine the population density is a hell of a lot more. 1 in 3 people who live in Monaco are millionaires. Now, I could have guessed that one, but it's still 1 in 3 people walking down the street thinking, wow, he's got a lot of money. Yeah, a few more coming in. Over 50% will DNF. That's probably about right. I reckon 8 to 10 drivers will finish the race. Oh, and apparently Monaco has the highest life expectancy. So hey, if you want to live to your 100, get yourself to Monaco. Apparently it's a good way of living. Also, Monaco was the first time they do quali. First was... oh, fucking hell. First was grid by a coin drop. That's a bit weird. I'd be really annoyed. Anyway. We've finished the formation lap. So we'll get back to the focus. Now, I've got no idea what I'm going to predict here for turn 1. It's wet. Some drivers might be using the line. Some drivers might have it turned off. I would imagine most have just switched it on in this wet condition. But the final few drivers line up in the streets of Monaco. Look at that. It looks great, doesn't it? It looks great. We've got Puggy rounding off the field in his grid slot. I can't see the lights. We've got 3, I think, 4, 5 lights. There they are. And we're away. It's going to switch camera. I know it's going to switch camera. Do it for us. Do it for us. Oh my god. There you go. Oh, and there's hustle and bustle. The Red Bull's in the wall already. I don't want to say too much. Oh, and there's a Ferrari sideways. Let's bring the stuff back up. That's Wardy sideways. Very unfortunate for him. Dino has taken the lead. Stubby finds himself in P2 and Tonchek is dropped down to P3. Let's take a look. The position changes. The biggest loss is Schmidt, and Kieran has gained the most. Wardy down 4 places at the start. There's a bit of a hold up there as they head round the tight left-hander. Mercedes on the inside of the McLaren. And now they head through the tunnel, dry on wet tyres. That'll be an interesting complex throughout this race. I'm sure it won't matter too much though. Oh, that was a tight one there by Dino across the chicane. Could have been a track limits warning. But all the drivers have got away at least intact. Wardy will be disappointed, but he's got away. So it's Alfa Romeo, Williams, Alfa Romeo, Red Bull, and Aston Martin, your top 5, as they head through Raskas for the first time and down the main straight. There'll be no DRS for the course of the wet period. And there's the first time posted, the 131.694. Got Schnitzy right in behind the Williams as they head up the hill through Rivage. He's going to put pressure on immediately. He understeers a little bit there out wide and clips the barrier. Obviously no mandatory pit stop on wet conditions. So if anyone's got the guile of Sergio Perez or Esteban Ocon, they can keep themselves out on there for the entire duration of the Grand Prix. Very, very close there by Schnitzy in behind Schmidt, but he keeps it clean. This is the closest battle we've got. Only a few tenths between them. We've got a few predictions for a stubby win. The optimism. Anything could happen. Anything could happen still. Oh, and he's got a great exit, but again, you know, the nature of this circuit, you've got to get the perfect exit if you're going to be able to put yourself alongside. Wardy's having a torrid time at the back. That's in 26 seconds off the pace, and a snap there. He hasn't disabled the RS. He just kept it on as he twitched left and then twitched to the right. Lucky to keep that one out of the barrier. We've got Stubby putting the race leader under pressure and already a 2-second gap to third. So first and second slowly creating a gap down to third, and Stubby will be looking to make that move, I'm sure, as soon as he can, because it looks as though he's got pace over Dino. Through the tunnel then. Let's watch as the drivers come down. Has anyone got any damage? Everyone looks okay. Oh, a little twitch there from Spritzy at the back. He's dropped down 5 places, so he's had an issue at some point, and he is 3.3 seconds down. We're on lap 3, and we're yet to have anyone in the wall, so great driving so far from these guys. Kieran, though, the closest margin, 2 tenths behind Steve-O ahead. We've got Inorganic in the chat, so he'll be rooting them on. And he could have put a wheel up the inside there, you know, I would have. You don't want to be overzealous too early on, but he knows he's going to have the pace over him. He's just got right up behind him there. And Steve-O can see him in his rear view mirror. He's approaching very, very aggressively. Things you love to see. We've got Schnitzy still on Smith. And other than that, there's only a few other gaps under a second. Kieran right on the tail. Big gap ahead of Steve-O, 2 seconds to Cosmo. So if Kieran does get ahead, he's got some room to work with. Similar axis there. Wardy's had another mistake, I think. Not sure how far back he was before. Still 25 seconds. In fact, no, I think he was 26 seconds before. So he's lapping on his own race. But again, it's a tough one to recover from. An unlikely safety car and no mandatory pit stops. Very difficult for him to claw that back, unfortunately. Oh, and Kieran, I think, came off the wall there on the left-hand side. Through Sandoval. It's tough. Stubby's already picked up a time penalty as well, so that changes things dramatically. As it stands then, Stubby's only losing 1 position, so it's not too bad. Oh, was that over the curve? I was looking down. It looked as though it was a bit ropey. He's lost time, unfortunately, Stitzy there. Kieran still obviously stuck behind the Ferrari. Oh, and Schnitzy's made a mistake, I think. Is the gain. Is Kieran going to dive? Oh, I mean, Steve-O could have given him more room there. I think he made the mistake. He should really be giving him more room. Kieran backs out. Probably the smartest thing to do. And I'm going to keep my eyes on those numbers, and we'll ride on board with some other people to see how they're getting on. Riker had a good qualifying session, but again finds himself in no man's land a little bit here. 1.8 seconds behind and 1.1 seconds in front, so he's just minding his own business, trying to keep an eye on those lap times, putting in as many consistent laps as he can. Takes a lot of curve there, maybe too much. Rodo, the championship leads, down in P12. This is a great result as things stand for the Alfa Romeo team. Kieran, right in behind. Still all it takes. Schnitzy 3-second time penalty for crossing over that curve. It's a killer place, to be honest. It's very, very difficult to get right. If you take too little, you lose too much time. If you take too much, you get a penalty. So it's a very fine balance going through there. This is probably the closest pack we've got on the whole racetrack. As Dino crosses the line to start the 7th lap of the Grand Prix. And the McLaren boxes, he must have picked up some damage. So Kieran picks up, well, Kieran and Stebo pick up a free position. And he's going to go for it. Oh, every time he looks so close to going for it. Stebo's still got 100% ERS. Dear me. Kieran's nearly used his entire tank. Stebo has barely used any at all. That changes the dynamic of this battle a little bit if Stebo can just keep putting it on down the pit straight. Schnitzy's come out of the pits on a new set of inters. 2.5 seconds behind Spritzy, who's just heading through Mirabel now. Let's continue on watching some of the drivers then. Give them some screen time. Huss found himself in P5. Good result for Aston Martin as things stand. And yes, either so far everything is okay. I'm surprised, to be quite honest. I'm surprised we haven't had a single guy in the wall, especially in these conditions. I guess everyone's taking it a little bit more cautiously. As I say, in these wet conditions. Tight here at the front. A lot of cars within a second of each other. But Dino still leads. Tomczak had the pace, but trouble is, so did Dino. He was only a tenth or so behind him in qualifying. So there, I'm sure their race pace is going to be very similar indeed. Dino could almost do with holding him up a little bit, holding Stubby up to try and get his teammate past and go for the 1-2. But it's maybe a little bit too early for that. Lap 8 of 39. Kieran still knocking on the door. In behind Stebo. Can't find himself in a position to make the overtake. He's going to have to rely on a Stebo slip up at some point. But in my opinion right now, Kieran is the guy who is suffering most in terms of race pace, being held up. The gap now 3 seconds to Cosmo. So while Kieran's in a good position points wise, he knows that eventually he might just have to make a move, and Stubby picks up another penalty. So that takes his tally to 6 seconds. It's all going wrong for Stubby in the opening sections of this race. And Organic saying that Kieran's got himself a new wheel. New Thrustmaster SF 1000. I don't know what that is. I'm going to Google that. Thrustmaster FS 1000. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, Kieran to Ferrari in Season 6 then, surely. That is beautiful. I mean, that is legit. That is like pure legitness. Fair play. Yeah, fair play. That is delightful. Well, I need to see him making some moves then. I need to see him making some moves if he's got that kind of shit. You know? I love all the buttons. I mean, it's too many buttons for F1 realistically, isn't it? But if you're playing at, you know, iRacing or Assetto Corsa or anything like that, it's great to have all those little features to tweak your car. He's dropped off a little bit there while I was looking down. He's now a second behind, so he might have just had a little slip up. Anyway, I'm not going to have you watching the same guy for an hour and a half, so let's switch over and now focus on Schmidt for a little while. He's happily in the top 6, started in P9, so he's in P3, so he hasn't had the best start. And we've got Cosmo in behind, who's moved up from P10, so decent challenge. Obviously the pace difference between Cosmo and Schmidt, you'd suggest Cosmo is going to struggle to gain any other positions on these guys ahead. He's just going to have to look to hold on to P7, which I'm sure he's thinking about, now that he's got that 2.5 second margin to Stebo nothing to risk really there. Schnitzy sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:22.5 on those fresh intermediates. Still at the back though, 12 seconds behind Spritzy, unfortunately for the McLaren driver there. Puggy, half a tenth to Rodo, the championship leader. Father Christmas is now broke. Yeah, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles this time of the year, isn't it, mate? Oh, and Bakker. Bakker is in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. The captain has arrived, and Puggy picks up a penalty for taking too much curb through, what is that called again? Chiron or something? Is it? Chiron? How are the lads? Indeed. Absolutely, mate. How are the lads? Where was I there? Oh yeah, Puggy picked up that penalty. So a few drivers actually. Rodo's also picked up a penalty. And Schnitzy, as we knew already, but Stubby the only guy with 6 seconds to his name at the minute. A little snap of oversteer there by Puggy, but he keeps it together nicely. Stebo's slowly starting to drop Kieran. 1.3 seconds. He's obviously still on his radar, but he's nowhere near as close as he was before. Stubby, the nearest guy, half a second behind Dino, but with 6 seconds worth of time penalties, that's as good as 6th, I think, at this point, or maybe even, yeah, 6th. So not ideal for the Williams driver. Contract, the pole sitter, has gained back some time on the lead too. They've stuck with each other the entire race so far, as we're now on lap 12. And we are yet to see a retirement, so great racing from these lot, all of them on track. Nearly a third of the way through the race, so we're getting there. I didn't see what the forecast was, so I'm not sure if there's plans to dry up, but it's still raining visibly on the screen. Great shot there under the car as they head through the swimming pool section. The top three currently really in the class of their own, a second and a half to Riker. Yet to see any challenges for an overtake. Dragos is closing in to Kieran, so after all that talk of Kieran taking Stebo and having the pace to do so, Dragos all of a sudden has come out of nowhere and is now putting pressure on the McLaren driver in behind as they head up the bank toward Massenet, around the difficult left-hander, past Casino and back down the hill towards Mirabo. He's chasing. Similar pressure from Dragos as what Kieran was giving Steve-O earlier, so he's giving him a taste of his own medicine as they head now through the second sector. All it takes is one snap of oversteer on the exit of that kind of corner and it allows the driver in behind to capitalise on that and launch a good exit through the tunnel and down into the braking zone that they're going through now. Cosmo, another 3-second time penalty. That's the first of his race. Penalty starting to be picked up now, risks being taken. It's only a matter of time before somebody plows into a barrier, which, you know, I mean, I don't want it to happen, but it would certainly spice things up a little bit, wouldn't it? Backer, crossover point close by the looks of it. You think? I hope so. I'd love to get some slick running. I'm still seeing a lot of spray. I'm seeing some visible. Let's see what it's like visibly. Oh, we've got a challenge for the race lead. The two teammates going side by side. This has opened the whole thing up. It's opened the race wide open, and Dino holds onto the lead, but Tonchek took Stubby. Look at this. What is going on? Huss moves into fourth. What's happened here? There's been a huge pile up at some point. What's going on with these crappy camera angles? What happened there? All of a sudden there was 5 cars just surrounding each other. Amazing. Amazing. Right. So, Tonchek has taken P2 away from Stubby. Huss has moved himself ahead of Riker. Schmidt and everyone in behind stays where they are. I'd love to know what caused all of that. Again, it might have just been a snap of oversteer coming out of turn 1. And that just opens up the whole thing for every other driver in behind. So Dino's held on to his lead. Tonchek gains that place and Stubby down 1. Great little little opportunistic move there through the inside of Casino on Huss. On Riker by Huss. And there's the first flavour of things to come, maybe, as this race progresses. And hopefully we are on the crossover. I was going to look at Dino and see still rain coming down. And there's still spray, so I'm not too sure about the crossover yet. We'll see. There's a little bit of a dry line appearing, but again, if you're going to go off that line, you're going to be still on wet tarmac, so we'll see. Maybe a few more laps yet. See what happens. Oh, and Riker has pitted. Is he going to change his slicks? Does he? Oh no, he's already pitted and he's gone out to fresh into, so he does not think it's time yet, and I would agree with him, and he comes out alongside Schnitzy, and Huss has taken Stubby into a Maribor 1 there by the looks of things, and Huss gets himself up 2 places in a lap and a half, up from P5 to P3. Great racing by the Aston Martin driver. Was that a mistake, or was it just great racing by Huss? Stubby's day has gone from bad to worse. He had a great start, moving up the position. Now he's lost 2 places and he has a 6-second time penalty. So not ideal from his perspective. Oh, and he taps the barrier there as well, and he's compromised himself, and he picks up another penalty. That's 9 seconds worth of penalties for Stubby. His race all but over, really. And it is over. Well, it's not over, but it is there. He's going to have to sit there for a long time. Oh, and he gets it done. Great. Oh. Oh, dear me. He's gone. He's getting all sorts of caught up, and well, that's what you get, really. He was caught in 2 minds. Don't go. He was caught in 2 minds, and he got clipped. No fault of the driver in behind, in my opinion. He was asking for it. When he shut the door on the AlphaTauri, maybe it was Puggy. I think it would have been Puggy. And Stubby's day has gone, as I said, from bad to worse to horrific. 9 seconds worth of penalties, finds himself last. Very unfortunate. Whoever predicted that, let me have a look, who was it? Yeah, a couple of guys in Organic and Bootsel, I'm not sure how you... Bootsel predicted a Stubby win, and that is severely off the cards. So everyone else has picked up a position. Kieran's finally got the P7 that he was after. Not by his doing though. But he's now closed the gap again up to Stebo as they head through the Nouvelle Chicane. And now through to back down towards the swimming pool section. Great angles there from the helicopter. Love that. Absolutely love that. I could watch the race like this for the entirety of the Grand Prix. Let's review the position changes then after that chaos. Cosmo still up. Kieran. Oh, and he's got him. Oh, he boxed. Never mind. He boxed. I saw his number fly up there. So Kieran's gained 6 or 7 places and now obviously 8 after he pitted. What's Stebo come out on? Is that more intermediates? Yes, more intermediate tyres. And someone else went down there. I'm not sure who it was. Riker, I think, has come out from the pits ahead of Spritzy. Spritzy all of a sudden back in contention. Still no DNS, which is good to see. Let's just double check who's made a stop. Got Schnitzy. Oh, Spritzy hasn't made a stop yet. He just had the incident at the start. So Steebo, Wardy, Stubby's coming in. Is Stubby going to gamble? No. He stays on the inters again. Still far too early, as you would expect. 5 drivers then have made the stop. So that promotes Kieran again up to P6 for the time being. Again, I don't have the task system, so I can't look at what the tyre conditions are looking like. But there's no mandatory pit stop in wet conditions. So if these drivers can hold on to these tyres for another half race distance, just over half race distance, then they'll be in a good position. But Dragos all over the back of Kieran, who has a 3-second gap to Cosmo ahead. So he, again, nothing to challenge for up front. You've just got to try and drive consistent laps and keep ahead of Dragos. Schnitzy, just puggy boxing, never mind. Another set of inters, a lot of drivers coming in now. 6 of the 15 have made their pit stop. I think it's time we crack open another bottle. Who's with me? Oh, I hope you heard that. That was delightful. Cheers. Back is saying Schnitzy will take P1 with these gaps. No, I don't think so. I think it's only like, isn't it like a 17-second pit window, or even less around here? So maybe like 4 or 5 seconds off, I think. Not sure, but I think it would be a lot for him to just dive into P1 after being like P7 for the whole race. Let's see what happens though. Yeah, cheers to everyone else. However, backer on the bud. Love to see it. No one under a second. Oh yes, Huss is under a second. That's good. Let's ride on with him. Let's make the pit stop. Be interesting to see who pulls the trigger first out of these drivers at the front of the grid. Yeah, very short pit lane, very short pit time, even around here. According to Google, it's 16.4. Well, that's obviously in reality. I'm sure the game's... Oh, there was a touch on the barrier there from somebody. Not sure who though. Rodo's in. What's happened here? Rodo's in, Spritzy's in. All going on to fresh inters, I would imagine. Again, no dries yet. I think this rain is going to persist until the end of the Grand Prix, to be quite honest with you. It hasn't dried up. And there isn't a significant dry line, so it's going to be wet conditions for the foreseeable. Schmidt now within 5/10 of Huss. So he has the shortest margin and that massive gap down to Rodo, 10 seconds behind Stevo. Kieran's still going well, holding the gap to Dragos in behind, and as we mentioned at the start of the stream, very unfortunate not to finish the race in Jeddah before the break, so he'll be looking to bring home his first points of the season in the championship division for McLaren, which I love to see. And Schmidt pits then. Yeah, 50% done and no DNF. It's great effort so far by the lads, to be quite honest with you. I would be surprised if we got that in the Premier Division tomorrow. So, still plenty of laps for things to change. As people get tired and whatnot. A few changes around in the order there as Schnitzy comes out ahead of all the stoppers, which obviously makes sense. And he's somehow miles ahead of Kieran, who was challenged. Oh no, Kieran's been challenging Steve all this whole time. Never mind, forget that. So let's do the maths now, Backer. Gap to leader, 17.9. So he's about a second off the lead. It's a good call on that. Not quite there, I don't think. Again, I forgot to check the pit time. I'll try and remember if I see someone diving in. Is Wardy boxing again, or has he been overtaken? I think that might be Stubby. Taking Wardy on track. It's good to see. Over half the grid boxing then, and as you say, Schnitzy's probably about a second or so off of P1. And Dino absolutely flying ahead. 4 seconds the margin to his teammate. He's crossing the line as his teammate exits the final corner. Huss pits then. I don't think it's going to show us the pit stop time, is it? Which is unfortunate, but let's see where that puts Schnitzy then. He's coming around the final corner. Schnitzy and Dragos, sorry, Huss and Dragos in. Schnitzy takes them both. Gap to leader now, 16.8. Schnitzy is nearly in that margin. Half a second, I reckon. If Schnitzy can get within 16.5 seconds, he'll come out in the lead. He needs to push like crazy. He's got no battery though. That's the only issue. The other guys have a lot of battery and they get to pit, so they'll obviously get more. But only the front three yet to pit. Let's keep an eye on with Dino as he heads around the tunnel. See when he decides to pull the trigger. Realistically, a 4.5 second margin to Tonchek. He could do it at any time. There it is. And he comes then. So, let's watch on. Schnitzy. Potentially, he's within the margin, just. Maybe. Maybe just. Let's see what happens. Tonchek has stayed out, so he won't take the lead as it stands. It's going to be neck and neck. As Dino exits the pit lane, Schnitzy goes flying past him and takes P2. And he's only 10 seconds behind. Lots of order shifting around. Let's take a look at the position changes. So Schnitzy up from P7. And all of a sudden, he's going to find himself in provisional, provisional P1, that's it. Net P1, not yet. But he's well within the margin. So an absolutely great strategy by the McLaren driver. Things that I absolutely love to see. Let's see what Tonchek does then. Is he going to box this lap? He's going to have him easy. So, after all the drivers stop, Schnitzy in the McLaren takes the lead of the race with 15 laps to go. Sensational. Absolutely sensational. And Tonchek, holy dear God, Tonchek, wheel to wheel as he exits the pit lane. He's going to have to concede the position to Smith. Tonchek has gone from second all the way down to 7th in a matter of seconds there, and he will not be pleased. He's missed the button to go in on time and come out in good time as well. I'm not sure what's caused all of that. He didn't have a penalty to serve, did he? I don't think so. So he finds himself all the way down. And we're down to P7. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So Schnitzy leads the Dino, then the Red Bull of Riker, plus Stebo, Schmidt, Tonchek, Cosmo, Kieran and Dragos. The top 10. Championship leader Rodo still down there in P11. Puggy, Spritzy, Stubby and Morty struggling down there at the back of the pack. The mistake makers, unfortunately for them. Tough race to come back into, isn't it really, with the lack of safety cars and whatnot. But Tonchek, surprisingly, finds himself down in P7. He's got the pace, but Schnitzy, 2.5 seconds clear. He's just got to manage himself. That ERS could be a problem. And Stubby, the first one gone. The first one in the wall. The exit of Sharon. Oh, that's not where you want to find a car at all. Has he got damage there? He's lost the M plate. Wardy having a nightmare. He's lost the M plate of his front wing, so he's going to be coming in. Now, is that car going to be gone by the time those drivers come around? Yes, it is. It's gone, thank God. That is not what you want to be seeing when you come around that corner at 150 mile an hour, or whatever there is, 120 mile an hour. Comes in for a front wing change, as you would expect. So there it is then. Stubby, the guy who a few had down as winning the race, is the first retirement after 25 laps. It's a valiant effort. Still a valiant effort from all the guys, but there it is then. The first one in the book. Schnitzy leads them through the hazard area. Car cleared. No need for a safety car, as you would expect. And let's go back to interval times. So keep an eye out. Everyone, apart from Kieran and Dragos, is over a second clear. Cosmo has just breached that barrier as well. We've now got 19 in the chat. Come on, let's get one more. Let's get the 20. I want to see it done. Come on, get your nan involved. Get your dog on the stream. Let's make it. Let's get the 20. Oh wait, there's a dive. Oh, and he's opened the door for Kieran a little bit there. And Cosmo is going to look down the inside of Tonchek. Obviously obviously tight to get past. Wardley picks up another 5-second penalty for corner cutting. So his day's gone from bad to worse. Nothing made of that issue there. Oh, and Kieran there, it was nearly perfect, but he just took too much inside curve there. Unfortunate for him, he's one of many drivers to pick up the penalty. He's not the only one. Cosmo ahead, you'll know that Cosmo ahead has a 3-second time penalty as well. It's not the end of the world. Dragos obviously nets that position as things stand. But so far the battle for P8 is very tasty. In fact, the battle for P7 even, with Tonchek involved. One mistake and you're going to open the door for 3 or 4 cars in behind you. Kieran getting very close, within 2 tenths. Issue in sector 1. Who's that? It's a Ferrari going slowly. It's Wardy, and there could be an overtake. Puggy, no, nothing doing there. Back to the action for P7 then. Tonchek leads Cosmo, leads Kieran, leads Dragos through the tunnel. All taking it very easy through that chicane, not to pick up any more penalties. Gap to the leader still nearly 3 seconds. Gap to P3 4 seconds. So huge gaps approaching on the podium places. But a good little midfield battle there from 3rd down to 6th. And the same said from 7th to 10th. So still all to play for. A lot of points on the line as they cross the line for the final 11 or so laps. 11 or 12 laps. It's time for more beer. There she is. She's cracked. I'll leave you with the sound of a few engines for a minute or so while I see this puppy off. Drink responsibly on a Wednesday night. Right, back to it then. I'm really hoping something opens up for one of these drivers. Obviously I'm rooting for the boy Kieran in the McLaren with his teammate in P1. I'd love to see him climb a few positions. And is he going to put a nose in? No, he nearly had a nose in the inside of Cosmo there through the final set of corners. But it wasn't to be on that occasion. See what Schnitzy's doing. 2.5 seconds clear, just taking it nice and easy. Oh, and he rides himself into the barrier a little bit there, but nothing given. Admiration coming in from Inorganic again. Hats off to all of yous. Absolutely 14 of 15. Crossing nearly 30 laps around Monaco in wet conditions. Absolute respect for that. Westy's with us, just preparing for the Cosmo chaos. What we saying? Misses his braking point going out of the tunnel, straight in the back. It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. Still the tightest battle here. I don't want to focus on the same guys the whole time. There's an issue. Sector 3. Oh, it's Dino. It's the race lead. He's lost his front wing. Riker picks up a position. Here it is. It's the battle now. Huss is going to surely have an opportunity with no front wing. Is Dino not just going to go straight on? He's struggling, and that's going to cause some sort of ripple through turn 1. They all seem to make it through clear. Let's ride on board then. This is going to be very interesting. Riker picks up P2. Huss the only guy without penalties, so if he can get up behind the first 2 drivers, he could be on for another win. Back-to-back wins in the championship division. He's going to have to send him eventually. He's going to cost him too much time, and he does send him a little bit too hard there. Jesus, I'm surprised he hasn't lost his own front wing. We could be on for the first move of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Could be on for the first move of the night. Huss, get your balls out, mate. Put them on the line and send them into this braking zone. Surely, someone, please, give us some entertainment. He's too far back. It's not going to happen this time. He's too far back. But Dino's going to be costing them a lot of time. He's obviously going to box, so he doesn't have to do anything overzealous. Dino will come in, but God, we love a bit of action. Riding the barriers there, Dino. He's not doing too bad, to be honest, considering he doesn't have a wing. He's actually keeping it out the barrier nicely. He's got himself round, hasn't lost too much time, but he's going to come out very far down. So what looked to be... Oh, and he's made contact. He's stayed out. Is that because Huss is getting impatient and he's not giving him the opportunity to box? And Huss has lost the position to Stebo. Stebo capitalises on Huss's mistake, but Huss wants it back. And he takes it back, squeezes him, and that's going to be damage surely to Stebo's front wing. Schmidt takes the position. It's all kicking off in the final few laps of this race. It's all kicking off. Stebo's front wing is still intact. Good to see. Huss was getting impatient in behind Dino there, and I think he might have blocked off the pit entry. So he's forced Dino around another lap. 5 seconds now, the margin to P2. So those 2 drivers ahead are safe. Again, some rear wheel. Front to rear bashing there from Huss. Wow, that was crazy. Stebo looked to take 2 positions, and then he ended up losing 2 positions. Smith is the gainer from that little, you know, what's the word? I needed that word. I don't know what the word is. That little, you know, event, let's just say. Wow, more of that, please. More of that. Meanwhile, Kieran's still riding up behind Huss, and Huss close to Cosmo. I want to see what Dino's going to do. Rodo, another 3-second time penalty. Huss, don't block the pit entry. He's going to go around the outside. Shit, wrong way. And he stayed up. What is Dino doing? He's got no front wing. He can't go on for 7 laps without a front wing, surely. I mean, maybe he can. Maybe he thinks Saki's in behind us. I'll just hold on to P3. Maybe that's the strat. Kieran's had a mistake. No. No. I've missed that, but Kieran finds himself next to last. In behind Wardy, who's just ahead of him. The blue flags might have been out, but very unfortunate for the McLaren there. I've missed it. Let's go back. Dino. Huss has finally taken Dino, so I've missed that overtake. But next it's Schmidt's turn, so Huss, the Aston Martin, takes over into P3. Adapt or die, Ivor says. Love it. I know he is trying to hold on for that podium, but now that he's lost it, will that change his tune? Will he box now? Or again, to be fair to him, I mean, it's a little bit unfair because you're going extremely slow and you're going to cause some collisions, but if he boxes now, all he's doing is throwing away the points that he's got, so he may as well just try and see what he can hold on to. I would hope that he doesn't overly defend people though, because, oh, he's clipped the barrier, and that's going to cause a ripple effect. Stebo going very slowly. Everyone going very slowly. So Huss has been freed to chase after Riker, who has a 3-second time penalty. So Huss is 4 seconds away from P2 with 5 laps to go. So he'll be looking for that indefinitely. You'll think he can get a hold of that for sure. Smith's dropped behind Dino. Stebo's looking, as is Tonchek. Decent gap behind to Cosmo. The 2 Mercedes very close by. It will be a disaster if Cosmo and Dragos come together. The numbers are lingering around 18, 16, 17, 18, 19. We're yet to breach that 20 mark. I've got my eyes on it. I've got my eyes on it. I want another one. Little graze of the barrier there by Dragos. Let's see what Dino's doing. 5 seconds. Sorry, half a tenth. Jesus Christ. Half a second to Schmidt. Yeah, I agree with that, Westy. It's only a matter of time before something goes wrong. It's going to be a ripple, I can see it. He's either going to be sideways along the track, or it's going to be on a corner like this where he gets clipped in behind, causes some sort of slow ripple through the corner, and someone's bound to pile up eventually. There he is, the Alfa Romeo stricken, and the Ferrari is going to look to capitalise on that slow exit that Smith got out of the corner. Schmidt says no. I'm going to keep that position by diving up the inside. It's a great move. That's a good question, Colin. I was thinking that myself. And it's not very sportsmanlike, is it? But again, I mean, in real life you would be black and orange, wouldn't you? You'd be K-magged. So stewards might have something to say about that after. I'm not sure it was outlined in any sort of regulation in RPM, was it? I'm not so sure about that. But you're right, it's not very sportsmanly for one. But around a track like this, where you can just defend, you can see why he's thinking about it. Any other circuit you would just box, but I think around here he's thinking you can just make the car wide, defending these final few laps to try and hold on to P4. He's causing huge gaps to be built up. He's already 6 seconds behind Huss, and Huss has gained no, he hasn't. Huss has only gained 2/10 on Riker, so it looks as though those 3 positions at the top are settled, really, unless there's a mistake. Schnitzy's checked out, absolutely, 13 seconds clear. He's heading through Massenet now as Riker heads through turn 1, so that's absolutely in the bag as long as he doesn't make a mistake on his own accord. Stebo, great exit, ERS enabled. He's not going to be able to send him into turn 1. But if he brakes early and tries to get a good launch, he's going to struggle. Dino through the corner. That's exactly what he's done. He's got the ERS down. Dino can't come across. Stebo thinks better of it. Bojan saying yes. Is that you saying yes, it is allowed? You're right. Oh, and there's a bash there. What was that about? Oh, and there's contact. That's the kind of ripple I was talking about. And a few cars affected there. Wing-wise, Mercedes 1, Mercedes 2, all okay. Tonchak okay. And Schmidt okay. So everyone's got away with that without any visible damage. Controversy in the final laps around Monaco here. Is Dino in the right to do what he's doing? Or is it against some sort of law? Because you're right. You shouldn't... I mean, yeah, you're right. 2 laps to go, 3-4 laps is one thing. But 9-10 laps without a front wing is pushing it a little bit. Especially when you're causing an absolute pile-up in behind you. And no one's able to get past. Stebo's got to go for it now. What's the ERS difference? He's got double the ERS. Still getting a good drag out the line though. Birdie, this is disgraceful. It's disgusting behaviour, in the words of a man that I saw on a video one time. Not a clue what his name is. Disgusting behaviour. He's right up behind him. Is he going to chuck a wheel up the inside? It would be risky to do it. He might send him here. Covers the inside. Dino being aggressively defensive. Going to be a DRS train of no winged cars. Yeah, literally, that's what I'm saying. As Dino breaks early to counteract the lack of a front wing, everyone else isn't going to be ready for that, especially the cars 2, 3, 4 behind. They won't be aware that Dino has no front wing, and with all these cars breaking early, it's only a matter of time before the ripple. I mean, look at that train on the minimap, for God's sake. All the drivers are now within 5 seconds of each other. Let's get the leader times out. Let's have a look. 32 to 36. Yeah, literally 4-5 seconds separates the majority of the field, all because of this one Alfa Romeo with no front wing. Now I worry about this kind of section. Is he going to drift out into the barrier? Is he going to brake early? Is he going to clip his inside tyre on that second apex? He's doing it alright as we cross the line. 3 laps to go for these drivers. Schnitzy and Riker absolutely checked out. Huss safe on the podium. Dino's been holding on to that P4 for a hell of a long time, and Stebo is trying to have a say about that. Oh, and he's moved up the inside. Can he go around the outside? It's risky with the guy with no front wing. He's going to switch back. A switchback around Monaco. What is this? Look at that train. Oh my god, look at this train. It's painful. It's actually painful. The yellows are out. Nothing's happening though. Yeah, Bojan, nothing is hanging for a red or yellow flag so he can drive. I mean, if that's the RPM interpretation, then great. But there could be something in the technical regs that say otherwise. I'm going to have a little look. I mean, I can't really do both with only a lap or 2 remaining, but I can't imagine there is much in our regs, to be honest, to cover this kind of thing, because it's a rarity. But if it is legal, which I'm half convinced it is, then fair play to him, because he hasn't lost many positions. So then, 2 laps to go. The race lead is heading through the tunnel now. Wardy, I think, is coming to the pit lane, probably to retire. Although surely he won't retire because he won't get any points. No, he's just boxing, that's fine. He lost his front wing. But this gap is crazy. Stebo can't seem to get by. No one can seem to get by each other. And that ripple again getting in the way. Dino picks up a penalty. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. After all of that, he's picked up a 3-second time penalty. which effectively puts him P8. Yeah, P8. Could be P9 coming into the race. So after all of that, he's going to effectively lose what he... I mean, to be honest, he probably would have come out toward the back of the grid anyway. So he's still going to be ahead of what he could have been. But wow, is that controversial. Never seen anything like this before. In organic, can imagine the language coming out of Steeble's helmet. Yeah, mate, you can only imagine, can't you? Jesus. But then again, you know, he himself, you've got to take some self-accountability. He hasn't been able to stick a wheel up the inside. As I say, when Dino keeps defending the inside, I wouldn't trust the driver in front not to understeer out into me. So I probably wouldn't want to go around the outside. If he can get himself chucked on the inside of a corner, then absolutely send it. But self-accountability, he hasn't got himself past, so he's got to accept the fact that he's in P5. It's still a good result, and it's been a great race, that's for sure. I'm keeping my eye on the McLaren of Schnitzy. I just don't want to cut away from this in case that happens again. There's a ripple again through this corner, perhaps. No yellow flags. Schnitzy rounds... Schnitzy rounds the final corner then. The McLaren driver weaves down the straight, and he brings home the first win of the season for the McLaren team. His first win of the season. An absolute great drive from P7, I believe, up to P1. The strat was brilliant. Riker, P2 comes across the line. Huss, P3. Now, we go back to this battle. Let's see where Dino finishes with that penalty. No good sending a move now. It's too late for that. Cosmo has taken Tonchek at some point as well, but he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties, so that won't matter. Dino, there you go, no front wing for a hell of a lot of laps. Comes across the line, but it gets relegated. Let's see where he finishes up in the end. He's finished P7, so not too bad overall. And Steeble got that position in the end up into P4, so a great finish for the Ferrari team. Karma, justice, all the words flying in the chat. You're probably right. Schnitzy gets driver of the day, and rightly so. Let's have a look. I'm trying to see if there's anything in this directives, rules, penalties, penalty points. No. Telemetry, no. On track, in-game penalties, jump start formation at DRS. Tyres, pit stops, yes. So it's going to be in 2.1 if it's going to be anywhere. In-game penalties. No, I don't think there's anything. Nothing to do with damage. Nothing to do with wings. Nothing in the directive as far as I can see. So, although some people might not like it, that was the strategy. Although it didn't pay off with the penalty in the end, he's probably saved himself a few points. So here are the final standings then. Schnitzy for the McLaren boys in P1. Riker, Red Bull P2. Huss, Steebo up from P8 on the grid. A great finish by him. Schmidt, Tonchek, Dino, Dragos, Spritzy and Cosmo round off the top 10. Kieran came back after an interesting battle for P7 or 8. Had a mistake, went down to the back of the grid, found himself back in P11. Rodo, the championship leader, all the way down in P12. Disappointing race from him. Puggy, Wardy, round off he finishes, and only one retiree in Stubby. Around a wet Monaco for 39 laps. Exceptional driving from all the guys tonight. I'm not going to be doing any interviews tonight because I don't have my PS4 stuff set up because Luke isn't here, so it's just me on my laptop. So that's been it for this week. You can join us tomorrow night, myself and a few other of the guys, for the Premier Division, where we'll hopefully have equally as good racing, hopefully as few DNFs as we had tonight. And next week we head for the final street circuit not of the season actually. We've got Baku left as well, haven't we? The final street circuit of the street circuit triple header. Thanks to everyone in chat. We didn't quite breach 20 viewers. Hopefully next week we manage that. 19 was the max. That's the most I've ever had. So thanks for everyone for joining. Thanks for everyone for watching. All the comments. Yes, Ivor. Thank you too, sir. Hope you guys all enjoyed the action at the end there. and we'll see you all next week.